Okay, so it's been a little while since I've done this, and I've got about 20 more minutes before I get to where I'm going. So here goes. When somebody crosses your mind and you have this moment to decide whether or not they're worth the time it would take for you to dial their number, send an email or a text, or just stop and pray because the complexities that would come to follow are too direct and too vulnerable that you would feel, so you find yourself reeling in these thoughts, trying not to exhaust yourself with all the conclusions that you can draw by yourself about this individual or this situation or this particular moment that has crossed your mind to a place of thought. To find yourself in the point of being able to understand that you hold the key now to unlock the door that you have held closed off from this now. And sometimes I personally have found myself in the moments where I try to let it go, try to let you pass, try to forget the last time I wondered if I wondered, how much I remembered from seeing you, how much I didn't notice, or if I ever did notice the change or the differences that you have exuded. Like maybe your hair was different, or your smile, maybe your colors in your wardrobe had lightened, but that smile still seemed dark, the darkness that has been a part of your life for so long because you have found yourself in this pit of bullshit. I mean your friends, I mean the company you keep, these labels you give so freely, loose terms and the loose lips that have sunk the ships that you thought you had built on strong foundations. It is a nation of sorrows, and it is a community of tomorrows that we will never look forward to because we lack the ability to let go of yesterday. And I don't know where I'm going with this per se, but there is a moment of gestation that has come to play where you realize that the belly that has been growing to a long stint like Pinocchio's nose did, even though you've been holding the truth in, and finally you are able to regurgitate every thought and every melody that you ever played a part because you knew that those songs reminded you of them, and you allow yourself to just let go and expose them to the ability to understand what it means to say, I know you've been going through some things. Not just because I too share the same stories or the same stress and hardships, but it's evident if you're human, you have got to go through some things. And even though those may mature at a different level, at every age and stage of life, you will have a shovel, need to dig your way out of some shit that you never put yourself in, because those are the predicaments of life. The cards we have been dealt, the strife we have sustained. Sometimes our lives are sustained by the hopes that somebody was praying, but too many times we'll find ourselves disconnected because nobody wanted to get past themselves and dial our number to say hello. To stop in passing as we pass go, not realizing the full circle would come again, only for us to have a new perspective, to realize the power in being able to watch somebody be able to understand what happens when you allow yourself to put down all of your barriers and stand for something bigger than yourself, like life. How sacrifice becomes something so nonchalant, effortless, because what else would you do but give everything you had for who you thought was worth everything, right? And we find ourselves in these moments where we're sitting at traffic lights and we have the audacity to decide that these 17 seconds are too long to bear, but don't even take hindsight into consideration when we are given the foreshadow of what happens when we only have 17 seconds to get someone's attention, to make them not want to go to the next post or the next hole or the next moment without knowing that the due diligence of someone's effort being given to give you everything they had was just enough for you to get by. And we try to find reasons to say that this is that and that is this, but there is no reason not to let it be what it is. There is a beauty in being able to release this shit. See, there's a writer in you, and that's why I'm getting it. I live in a city where there are no events, and I just want to call out all of the men and women who have the gall and the gall and the audacity to write and hide their journals under pillows, and not once, not twice have even tried to say hello to somebody who could give them a platform, somebody who could make their city grow, their name not just be a dot on a map, but more so the place we would want to go. And when you think about it, the things that we have in common besides heart is art. Because the whole point is how we all seem to tap our foot or jam our heads to the beat of a drum, regardless if it's two or a conundrum of all kinds of instruments. We rock ourselves to the point of realizing that we can only let go to the Ooh, I almost missed my turn. I was really feeling this shit. How y'all doing? Okay, let's see. What else can I do? So my god baby is so perfect. She is so perfect. And I know people like, you know, try to dim it down like, oh yeah, it's just baby fever. No, she's perfect. And I do. I might have the fever, but I ain't trying to get rid of it either. I'm on Highway 6 on the longest part of the whatever the hell this is, and I don't know. Hey Jay, what you doing? It'd be fun if, like, you know, somebody would like type me some words, and when I get to a red light, I can look at them and I'll plug them in some kind of way. Those are fun. We'll have to set that up one day. Anywho. This is totally what happens when I'm not going to open mics or when I don't have an event that I'm running with my partner or my friends, right? And so I have this feeling of release, and sometimes I'll feel like doing a freestyle, sometimes I'll feel like, you know, doing something I've already written. But if you want to come out to a show that I do with my friends and my partner, it's at this really dope black-owned lounge called Chemistry Live. It's at 1002 Alameda, Genoa. It's a beautiful place and it feels good. And if you haven't been there, you should definitely come out this Tuesday. It's gonna be great. I am an artist who supports artists, who has a platform for artists thanks to people who support the arts, and the owners of this venue do. And so I'm grateful for them. Blue skies are seldom seen by those who cry too long. Their eyes have been tightly clenched to the point that their fists have now balled up, and they try to wipe away the dried lines to trace the fake back to their feelings, because we've all been taught that that was the first sign of weakness. But isn't it something to consider reckoning? I mean, even to take into consideration the idea of us being able to subject ourselves to feeling to a place that we are able to let go, to an essence of hope, to realize that maybe if we would just let go and let the walls down, we could find ourselves in a place around town not having to worry about how my heart is beating because the cop is behind me. But yesterday it was different. I guess it's the predicament. How if it's a cop who's not 6 feet tall and 300 pounds standing over me in my car or in my face, if he's sitting down in a chair and he looks a bit more petite than I, then I don't feel as nervous. And if he cracks a smile, it makes it a little easy. I mean, our perspectives, right? Now, colorism is a thing. It is. And so is racism. But so many people are arguing right now, about matters that we have already gotten past. They are literally discussing the variables. I would love a good discourse with someone who didn't understand the notion, or the motion of our feet and our hearts, and the fact that we've got so many who are no longer riding coattails of Medgar, of Malcolm, of Martin, or Mary Sue and Bobby Joe. It's a beautiful process when you think about how we can really let go and just grow from here. And I have been subjected to all these perspectives of women who have allowed themselves to think that their direction is based on where they've come from, whether they were adopted and don't know the origin, but even more so those who have been like transitioned through all these homes and don't know what it's like to have one, or the ones who have no idea the freedom of not having to lock your door to feel safe, the peace that can be constant in spite of all the things we have tried to erase. Now we have the audacity to say that Alzheimer's is a terrible thing that destroys the mind. But have we ever considered how many nights they cried trying to forget their past? I mean, it's just about perspective. I'm not trying to negate science or your beliefs. I'm just offering this different view because I fear that you have allowed yourselves to be only subjected to the thoughts of someone else, and facts are supported opinions. So if you allow yourself to become a minion, I feel that it's necessary for me to just go into some shit I wrote a long time ago. Like, if I had 3 minutes where the whole world would listen, I would teach them about my religion, how with it all things are possible. I would snicker at my clever use of a synonym to avoid a colossal insult. Yo, I've never found a difference in our walks. I refuse to support the opinions of minions who conjured empires sustained by greed after trying to fit into the glimpse of naive imaginations. All you need is faith the size of a mustard seed. No amount of doubt would intervene. Yo, I worry your perception has been deceived by more or less moralist tells the points you would fail to prevail limitations set by them. You see, obstacles will only appear mountainous when you stand before them. They are minuscule molehills when you overcome them. Patience is a virtue you must seek daily. In addition, it is your mission to attain it. For those who didn't catch that, I'll explain it. They have been chanting the essence of cliches that we thought were relays of old wives' tales. But old wives gossip. They tell tales of things they've seen, in some degree, even if their perspective was jaded as well. The skewed view of those who don't know that they know the truth and think that they can lie about the brevity of its becoming something useful, right? But facts or supported opinions. If I told you it was 3 o'clock in the morning, would you actually think about it? Would you question whether I was being honest, or would you take the tone, the conviction with which I spoke and accept it for what it is? You know, fact. If I told you that I was this or that, would you allow me to hold on to that? Or would you take everything you've been shown, everything else that you have been told, and allow yourself to dissipate every essence of my own identity because you refuse to accept that I see me this way or that? Let's digress. There is a hope that the community has not become so detached that we allow ourselves to become desensitized by what's going on behind our backs. My mama asked me, is it not my responsibility if I see something wrong not to stop it, not to make an attempt, show some type of effort to exhaust it? I'm exhausted, trying to find a way to make her see the same way she has spoke of this truth, that the same truth that she can't see is a problem. How the reaction of somebody telling you that when you see negative, it's only because you were looking for it. So the people who tell you that when you don't see the things that are going on and they call you naive, well, that's just being negative. And how free it is that ignorance is bliss, but we allow ourselves to not seek knowledge because erudition is only sought after those who have fought the fact that they don't know. And it's a degree of information that has been subjected to us, but would we not think twice about where it came from? If they told us that somebody said, yo, hide the truth in a book, it's the last place they'll look, and now we think we're supposed to go to a book to find the truth. I mean, bruh, it's a great propaganda, a wonderful skim. How we can skim through the pages and find him, I mean, her, or this. I sometimes find myself trying to stay focused and give you a note or a message of something that I wrote that I feel is necessary, and then I go off on a tangent. That's not me, bro. Counted steps preceded by hesitation led to mental constipation, forcing the realization of disappointment. My expectations weren't met because you hadn't arrived yet. It was like being subjected to my future. Initially exciting, it devastated me, having to witness the seconds slowly passing. In the meantime, eye contact with you led me on fast-forwarded adventures to hospital rooms, elementary schools, games, plays, graduations. I just couldn't fathom how I would make it to my destination. It wasn't that I was in denial of his gift to me. I simply failed to realize as I prayed for you, he was listening. I reckon doubt set in, and I couldn't allow myself to depend on desires of my heart, as it was too good to be true that just as quick as I asked, he sent me 3 steps, 10 forward, those to the side, those so far from our path. Each one had purpose, and I honestly have no regrets. Hell, I used to say being loved by me felt too good to go without, so in spite of your fear, lust, and doubt, I would love you inside and out every moment. every individual who burns a piece of my heart, every disaster I thought tore my world apart, all made this possible. See, had it not been for those moments, those anomalous adventures, I would never truly know just how deep my love could go. Immeasurable is what I said because that's all that made sense, but reality is, it really is immeasurable. And now I hate being silent. My thoughts are too loud, and when I'm too noisy, my heart doesn't sound. All I can hear is this blood rushing through my veins. I remember being warned about growing pains, but nothing prepared me for this. It's a feeling I can't quite articulate past this. If you felt what I feel when I feel you feeling me feel a way I've never felt, you might have an idea as to what I feel when I say, yo, I got feelings too. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Nothing as in no thing, place, person, or idea, no noun, can drown the sound of the love that my heart beats for you. Love is the religion I practice. I laugh at the fools who act like the rules weren't meant to control them, as though high men weren't broken. They've been sodomized by true lies as rape victims, unwillingly sacrificed the points that faith has been compromised. I'm sick and tired of having to compromise what I believe in. I know you think I'm afraid, as though my past has me cautious and weary of what to say, like I'm unaware that my path has already been paved. I know you think it is my inability to admit it, but honestly, what bothers me is the fact that you gotta go through this shit to understand the insufficiency. See, I can never tell you to avoid it. I would never attempt to cause you pain to the point you couldn't notice, because even when time didn't seem sufficient, I have always needed love to be present. It's not that I'm against relationships. Hell, I'm simply against false claims of love's presence in people's bullshit. I will never try to convince you to lose hope when love isn't requited. If you ever tell me you're in love, I will only hope you stay there. Because if you leave, if you dare lose focus, you will forever live in a realm of hopeless romantic searching for passion. And that is what's so fucking tragic. Not love or admitting such. The moment you realize it isn't enough. I didn't really understand Lauren when she said, loving you is like the song I replay every 3 minutes and 30 seconds of every day, and every chorus was written for us to recite until I found myself feeling that way. And it was just this state of mind where I realized that every lyric in this rhyme was mine. That every chorus and every song that I'd ever heard was some way for me, because I selfishly put myself in the perspective of knowing that I was the center of the attention, the focal point for what was written. But maybe it was just my position to press play, to allow myself to relay a message that I wouldn't have to dwell on, because see, sometimes it's things like this that happen where I'm able to release, and it's not so much that I'm trying to feed myself, more so feed you, because you know you're hungry. You know you sat at a table today and you allowed yourself to consume a meal, but you still feel famished, like something is missing. Well, I'm serving a dish that a long list of individuals can eat from, sustain off the words and the beautiful ways that I'm able to exert the energy that comes through me to a place where it sounds so freely, but it's not even so much something ever written, because I'm literally like driving to my mama's house. And even more so, how you're able to understand that this is just a conversation that has the whole entire nation at a pause, because they really in awe at how I'm able to go this far. And I've concluded that I have just tapped into a different side of my brain for those who refuse to allow themselves to know that his name is great. So long, I've been labeled cynical, as though it's hard to assess the proof and accept the truth. I simply refuse to be love's fool, only to have my heart cast asunder like some useless tool. I want to be someone's Ruth. There is no sense in being a misfit, claiming to have fallen victim to the absence or non-existence of love's presence. I could, but I don't want to go through what I went through just to get to another man-made obstacle. I could, but I won't. Subtle for less than the truth proved out to be all that was possible. There is an army, there are legions, there are heathens among us, wolves in sheep's clothing, and they are trying to control us, make us forget the things we were taught, make us forget the reasons we brought ourselves to a place to stand boldly enough to go beyond the places that we allowed ourselves to go, because we couldn't grow past the limit, couldn't see past the image. The footage was never depicted to be anything but a negative. I'm sorry, but that shit was live. Anyway, it's crazy, but it's not. How I feel like somebody just came on this motherfucker and is giving me life. My heart beats different sometimes. And I wouldn't necessarily want to claim the murmur, but I can tell the murders of those who have been slain by the knives, by the guns, by the chokeholds, by the cups, by the bottles of pills that are on their dressers because they are letting them pile up. I don't worry to a degree of wonder, but I'm affected to a moment thinking about a mother who has to worry about what it will be like when she sets a table and her child doesn't come for dinner. I saw a picture of my co-worker's niece dressed up like a beautiful angel for her first communion today. And it etched in my heart this emptiness of someone else's child who won't have that grace. And it's not because religion, it's not because of God. I'm just saying we've been taken far too early, not depicted on the time scale of what I think is on time, but before they were able to decide. If we are given the freedom of choice, then aren't we all supposed to have the choice to choose whether or not we will give up or let it go? Sometimes we think about the dominoes and how the wind blows and how we are able to understand that I'm literally reading off the banners and the signs that I'm driving past at this moment by Lakes of Savannah on Highway 6. And it's not because I've lost the connection. It's more so because I need the direction of understanding that there is a sign that says Pooh's Child Care Enrichment Center. And before I passed the pole, all I saw was Pooh's child, and I just feel like that meant something. But now available, same day pickup. Hey, let me tell you something. You can have $1 million idea, and if you don't put it to work, it was valuable for a moment, right? You can have the $1 million idea and not a dollar to your name and put forth the effort to make it happen, and you will always have respect for yourself and from others. Now, I have this thing, and I don't know, it's something, so here we go. I heard Ebony Stewart do a poem that I have heard her do a few times, but this last time I heard it differently. And it was like she was bringing forth a perspective for people to understand that even though they're tired of listening, the artists who are righting the wrongs and trying to right the ways to justice are exhausted of having to right them, because they are still a thing, right? Well, there's this perspective of entitlement that people have, and I'm not sure how it even got there, but there are these books that people have allowed to carry power. They have empowered these books with themselves, and the text of these books they have left to the perception of others to a point that power is thought to be the highest acquisition necessary to lead, when in all actuality it's humility. If you have an office of people who's superior is covered and decorated in medals of honor and certificates and degrees and a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate at least. And not once has he swept a floor, cleaned a toilet, served a customer, faced a customer who was belligerent for whatever the reason. You won't necessarily have as much respect when they reprimand you for not being empathetic as you will for the one who climbed from the bottom. This depiction of crabs in a bucket, we forget to think about the ones at the bottom who sustain, whose shoulders can carry the weight, and they build, you know? There's this visual artist, Marcus Arsenal, and he has a piece hanging at Center Stage Art Gallery in Sugar Land. And this piece, I don't remember the name, excuse me, but it's a figure that is holding what appears to be the world, but the world is in pieces of broken mirror. The reflection that I received was that we are made of dirt, yet earth, heart, art, the compilations of things that will let us sustain anything, and how me or you as an artist have the ability to take the shards of people among us and lift them up. There are artists who have lost the point of their craft. There are artists who are not even artists. They're not even artistic. That's not the point. The point is, there are these people who are incredible, who sacrifice their time with their families, sacrifice their lives, sacrifice their freedom, sacrifice their sleep. Not because they woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to be a poet, I'm going to save people. But because they woke up one day and they accepted their conviction to save people. There's this hope that this video would be shared to the person who needed to be saved today. There's this understanding that it's me. That even though I'm hearing it right now as I'm saying it, it'll be different when I listen to it later. So, I can't stop. I can't. I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this for anybody. I'm doing it. The other day I heard this message: do not apologize for forgiveness. And I was just like, damn, it's heavy. Think about how many times a child has said, I'm sorry, do you forgive me? And an adult who says, I apologize. You forgive me? Do not apologize for forgiveness. Do not give for a return. These are lessons that have been learned over years and years of stories burned in the books. The pages have unturned because we have allowed ourselves to yearn for something else, never satisfied at our own table. Even if it was just a bookshelf or a milk crate with a cloth on top, we don't even take consideration of the effort that was made to make it look like home. So many people will utter the words, I just want to give her a better life than my parents did me. Do you not think of yourself to be good enough? I mean, if I plant a tree, I said free. I think I was thinking flower and tree. If I plant a tree, you plant a flower, and it rains every day, do you think growth will be any different? I mean, sometimes analogies aren't necessary, but some people need the image. you know? Why would you say that you want to give your child a life better than your own, as though all of the ugly that you were shown made you appreciate the beauty in the world? And all the people who had never seen the ugly, we call them naive and inexperienced or green, and then we call them crazy when they finally see. We are so judgmental. This is not our duty. And just because we were given a sense of judgment doesn't mean that we have the privilege or the right to judge them. I saw this video on Facebook yesterday about a man who had acquired this new church, and he was being introduced to them, and instead of just being the regular suit wearing man in the front pew, he decided to test them. And he dressed as a homeless man and walked around the building, and the video depicts that, you know, perhaps maybe 2 to 10, because literally there were about 7 to 10,000, but less than 10 people spoke to him, said good morning. No one welcomed him inside. No one offered him any change when he asked for help. And when he came into the church, he sat in the front pew and he was asked to move. Now this didn't have to be a true story, but this is a true story, and you've seen it, okay? And he goes to the back of the church as asked, and then they go through the announcements, and he's listening. People are walking by, and he's smiling, and they look at him with this disgust. This is not necessarily a true story, but this is a true story, and you've seen it. And then they announce this pastor, and they ask him to come to the stage, or I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm a poet. They ask him to come to a pulpit. I really was not trying to be funny about that. And he goes to the pulpit, and they're all just ashamed, right? And as I'm listening to the sad music of like dun soap opera, or you know, whatever, and then I'm seeing these images of these people looking so caught up, red-handed, of not doing what they'd say. And I think, does this not give me a little more understanding of why I haven't been to church since October? The people are not there. Like, my church is great. My church is great. My church family is good. And we know where to go, right? The people who don't, they're not there. And I'm learning more about how insightful I've always been to know that no, I haven't noticed a difference in our walks. And my religion is love. And with love, all things are possible. And God is love. However, it's not to cast asunder anyone else's tools for righteousness or peace. And I'm not judging them for not even having a following. I heard a woman say, I thank God, even though I don't believe, I still thank God. Like, there is this beauty of reference. I've heard Jimmy Kimmel say his atheist friends prayed for his child to be okay. I mean, like, it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm able to find that even my friends who have this practice of things I don't necessarily comprehend, I respect the process because they have found a way to get to peace. It's beautiful. It is. And I know that there are people who say 3 plus 5 is 8. And if I come in and I say, well, 2 plus 6 is 8, they don't want to hear that. So when someone says God made Adam and Eve and not Eve and Ellen, and someone says, well, a sin is a sin, immediately it's shut down, and then you have to go through all these scriptures and things from the Bible. This is not the direction I thought this would go, but this is here. And I feel that we are supposed to be just as vulnerable, just as unapologetic with who we are and how we are, as we are with the people who are judged for the same. I have a domestic violence walk every year for those affected by the effects of abuse, violence, bullying, and suicide or attempts. And I am someone affected by each of these. And I feel that I have this organization that provides the necessities that men, women, and children need. And I don't really have time to wonder why no one else had come up with it yet, or why I was the first to think of it, or at least execute the thought. I really just don't think and operate in that fashion. These messages come to me, these convictions find themselves in my face or in my hands, and I do them. There are these people who lack sincerity and altruism, and they are leading positions. They are in leading positions. They are in position to teach children, to run a city, to run a state, a nation, a country, and it's devastating and frightening to so many people. And for me, I just continue to find myself in prayer that all will be well. I'm not running